What up, roomies? Most people think AI is coming for their jobs, but the real ones are winning. Let me start that over. Oof. What up, roomies? Most people think AI is coming for their jobs, but if the real ones are winning, oh man, why is that such a tongue twister? Sorry about that.
You're okay.
What up, roomies? Most people think AI is coming for their job, but what if the real ones winning are the people that are using AI to build their businesses faster than ever before? Today's guest specializes in helping entrepreneurs do exactly that, using AI automation, marketing strategy to scale the businesses smarter, not harder. And the real question is, are you being replaced or are you just not using the tools yet? Rickdrieka, welcome to Neighbors. This is going to be one of those conversations that we can actually help people move forward on it, and I'm honored and blessed to be able to pick your brain about the future of how small business is going to be scaled and all that good stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. This is something that every small business owner is kind of facing and trying to like scale up their businesses and maximize their profits and all that. So we're just gonna start it off running. So what got you into AI in the first place and automation?
So my path to this point has been a journey. I can tell you that because
Okay.
many of my degrees are not in coding or AI automation or anything like that. So it is it hasn't been straight. I kind of zigzagged and pieced a whole bunch of stuff together over the years. And basically what I noticed with AI, because AI has been around for so long, and a lot
True.
of people have not realized that we've been using a level or aspect of AI for years. We've been
True.
using AI since at least I was in high school. One version of AI was like the Scantron machines where we used to have to do those tests and
Yeah.
mark A, B, C, D. That was a version of AI. So for me, what I noticed was over time, when it came to automations and systems and things like that, a lot of people were paying people to actually do things that could have been automated,
Yeah.
or they were not being able to focus on what needed to be done in their business because they were focused on busy work instead of the value of the business. So
I
when
got
I
you.
got into that, I started to do more automations using Zapier. So my very first automations that I was more so doing with Zapier and doing email marketing and automating a lot of emails for clients. And then it just transitioned to doing more in-depth AI building around like NA8 and creating agents and things of that nature.
I got you. And just because I don't know what it is, what's Zapier?
So Zapier is basically a third party app that you can connect with other platforms. So for
Yeah.
example, say I have a form and I wanted to create a database and get all of the submissions of the form. And at one point in time, Google did not have it where you'll have like a database when someone really
Yeah.
submit the form. So you could basically take that form, get all of that information, zap to an Excel spreadsheet or sent to an Excel spreadsheet or sent to your CRM system so that you won't have to go through the process of downloading every entry, but it'll be automated to where it's automatically going to that CRM system.
Okay, I got you now. I got it now. So like, when did you realize that this was like the future of business? You know that people are gonna have to start working smarter and not harder, and not just you know occupying their time with like just busy work.
Well, I knew AI wasn't going anywhere, and I knew that it was changing dramatically when when Siri came out
Yeah.
with Apple, and then when you started seeing other platforms being more competitive, because it was Zapier, and then after Zapier rolled out like a year or two later, you ended up getting Make and NAA and a lot of other platforms were rolling out different automation stuff. And another one was I think was IFTT or
Yeah.
something like that. But all of those were trying to automate so much. And then even with social media, they started having it where you can pre-schedule your content out in advance and automating that. So those changes really brought about even more change.
I got you. And what's like the biggest misconception people what's the biggest misconception people think about when it comes to AI in business?
Well, one, of course, is the biggest one I would say is that people are always saying that AI is going to take over jobs.
True.
So, yes and no. So, there are going to be some jobs that AI take over, which are jobs that really are more repetitive tasks that can be outsourced to AI. But at the end of the day, because AI is prediction, you are always going to need a human to review the output of what's being predicted. So that's why there are going to be jobs. There are going to be jobs that are lost, but there are also going to be jobs that are created in the process because of AI. So what a lot of people are failing to do is to really think critically with
Yeah.
using AI, where AI is more of an enhancement tool instead of replacing people or things with AI. So I think that once people get in a mindset of actually critically thinking with it instead of being in a mindset of copy and pasting with it,
Yeah.
then you'll be secure in your job and in your business and whatever you're doing with AI.
I got you on that. And do you think that people are, and like with the things like, Siri, Alexa, ChatGPT, those things, do you think that people are starting to lose like the skill of critical thinking?
I think that critical thinking has been going downhill for years, but
Yeah.
I feel that now AI is making it go down even faster. Because when it comes to critical thinking, I know at least 10 years ago, I was just shocked because some of my little cousins and nieces and nephews, they were not, it was certain words that they should know how to spell while they're in middle school and high school, but
Yeah.
they could not spell those words, mainly because when I noticed the curriculum for education had changed. So it was no, when I was in school, if you didn't pass, you got a D or an F, and that means you
Yeah.
failed and you had to retake it.
Yeah, of course.
Nowadays, a lot of kids don't get D's and F's, and then they kind of adjusted the grading system where
Right.
what used to be a B is now an A, and I was like, that is not right. But they
That,
a
that
lot of
doesn't make.
schools have changed their grading system so that the kids are not in a failing mindset.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit old school on this one. But I no. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. Right. And I graduated college in '08, so I'm not that old, but I would think that that whole not having them in a failing mind state is that would be more detrimental to them than actually being a positive, because now you're lowering the bar for their education, their
Mhm.
critical thinking, their creative thinking, and it's not pushing them forward to excel.
Well, and I definitely agree with you because even with learning like the vowels and how different letters go together for spelling, they're being taught to write how it sounds versus learning the correct ways of putting certain vowels and things together.
They need to bring back hook on phonics. I can tell you that.
They need more than phonics. Definitely need more than phonics, but and like they don't even have cursive writing in school systems anymore, and I feel like that's crazy because one, when you have to do your signature is written in cursive, it's not print.
True.
Then also when you're doing cursive writing, there are cognitive things that are being built mentally for you learning cursive writing. So a lot of stuff for thinking and critical thinking itself is really leaving school systems.
Damn. And do you think that with the development of like chat, not only chat GPT, but there's like a bunch of like study tools for children and
Mhm.
for like college students now that uses AI that will break down like the lesson and actually like like pre-test them before the test. Do you think that that's a benefit, or do you think that because of the way society's kind of shifting that that's more detrimental to them?
I think that it can be beneficial if it's done the right way.
True.
So if they're studying on their own and it's something that they don't understand, AI explaining it to them in a way so they can understand it better, or AI pre-populating like quick quizzes or rapid fire quizzes so that they can actually take those quizzes to prepare for what's to come. I think that is beneficial. But when it's come to where the kids are just copying and pasting. They go to AI and upload their assignments or upload their
Yeah.
math problems and get the answers directly. That's not beneficial.
No, true on that. No, I completely agree with you on that, and I completely agree with you that AI could be a crazy benefit as well. So now, when we're moving it more to like the business side of things, right, with AI, how does like a small business owner like start getting into like integrating AI into like their systems and like kind of like benefiting from it without like having to like hire somebody just to like focus on that?
So, what I always tell business owners when it comes to AI, first, look at what you're trying to accomplish, because if not, you're going to go down a rabbit hole because there's so many
True.
different AI platforms. So I would literally sit down in my business, one, see what I'm doing every day that I'm always repeating, whether it's client emails, whether it's booking appointments, whether it's scheduling social media, looking at all of those different things, trying to find like what it is that's being repetitive, and then I would outsource that to AI to save time, because those
Mhm.
are things that, of course, they're simple, they can be time consuming, but you want to focus more on the business. So I know, like from that, it's like thinking outside of the box
True.
most of the time. So if you're doing email marketing campaigns, if you have the layout for it, you can use that. Or if you're doing market research, AI is great with helping you pull together some research. And then for business
That's
owners,
fact.
I always tell them that, one, I know there's a trend of training your bot or training your AI agent a certain way. But what I tell people is that it's great to have that so that it can know your brand and your business, but you also have to continue to train it so that it doesn't hallucinate and go off the deep end on you, because it's prediction. So I
Yeah.
tell them to make sure you're asking the bot questions so that the bot can be confident in the output. So, and instead of just constantly doing input, because when you're constantly doing input, you're not necessarily training the bot by just asking the bot to give you something.
No, that's true. And then especially like when you're kind of like repeating the same questions, it kind of gets a little lazy on you as well. I've
Hmm.
noticed that. So now I get you on that. And so like, how does one identify like what AI or like what agents they kind of like need? Like, I know there's a bunch of new tools like native AI, open Claude, Claude code, and all that. So like, how does one like kind of identify the right one that's good for them?
So, first of all, and you're right about that. I know a lot of people have been telling people, "Oh, use Perplexity." I tell
Yeah,
people don't use Perplexity unless you're using it for more so research, but not
yeah,
for content creation. Because one thing a lot of people don't do is take the time to read the terms and conditions of platforms, and you will find that there are certain AI platforms. If you cannot turn off your privacy settings in there, where it's not training that bot, everything that you submit to that AI can be shared to any and everybody. So that's the
true.
first thing, making sure that as a business owner, you're protecting your company, you're protecting your information and your intellectual property. So making sure you choose a platform that's going to protect your business is definitely essential. The
True.
second thing I would say around picking what platform you're going to do is, for example, OpenClaw, you definitely want to have another server
Yeah.
for that, because you don't want your client information on the same server as something that you're allowing to run by itself with no input. And when
True.
you're using OpenClaw, you're basically creating a bot that's going to do a whole bunch of stuff without you reviewing, giving it permission, because it has full access to everything. So you don't want to run into any type of issues around privacy or getting data leaked or anything like that. But I personally, for me, when it comes to the main three platforms that I recommend, my number one platform is Claude. Claude has its own external server. So when you're doing coding, then it would be Copilot, and then it would be ChatGPT.
Okay. And how about if like somebody doesn't know anything about coding at all? Like, how would it are is like is like Claude like is Claude or like I know ChatGPT is user friendly, but is like Claude like user friendly for somebody who doesn't know anything about coding, or would they have to have like an additional person to overview the coding of everything?
And I definitely think that's a good question. So with Claude, Claude will actually give you, it will code something and then give you a preview of what it's coded or what it looks
That's nice.
like. And that's amazing. So starting out, that will be great to do. But if you're doing something that's going to have a database and collect a lot of client personal information, I would highly recommend that you get a developer to review the code to make sure there are no gaps, because it gives you the foundational aspect of things. But then some
Yeah.
people will leave it like that and don't continue to scale it. So starting out, yes, it will be great.
Okay, I got you on that. And like all right. So when it comes to like more on the creative side, like let's say
Mhm.
a small business owner who's like selling their art, or like they're in the entertainment business, like how would AI help them like push their content out, or like make like their visibility like easier?
So it can do a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, depending on what platforms you're using as an artist. If you want to take your images and turn it into like t-shirts or something like that, it can take your image and put it on a t-shirt and make markups for you so that you can actually see how it will look, like what it would look like
Yeah.
on different products. And you can promote it that way. It can help you create content around that in a recommended content plan. Like it will definitely, if you tell it what you want it to do and you upload a picture of what you're trying to promote, it will basically create you a full social media content plan of what's recommended to schedule, when to schedule it, how, like the times to schedule it, and the frequency to schedule it. So it's there are really no limits. You just have to know what it is you want to do or what the goal is that you want to accomplish in that process. And
I
I
got
know,
you.
like for me with business owners, what I've noticed is a lot of times they don't know how to prompt AI the correct way.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they get a lot of generic information
I got you. And like when it comes to prompting, because I'm an avid Chat GPT user, I'm not gonna lie about it.
back.
And the one thing I love about Chat GPT is that they have a GPI that you is a prompt builder for you. So you can like simply like tell the prompt builder what you want, and they'll build you like a great prompt for it. But like when it comes to other AI sources, like how important is it for you to like be super specific with your prompt and like direct it correctly?
It's important for every platform when using
Yeah.
AI. So there are four key things that you should always have in your prompt when you're
Okay.
prompting AI. So one, you want to have a persona in there. So whether you are a business owner, if there's a specific type of business you own, if you're an expert in public speaking, you want the AI to know that. That's the first thing. Then you want to add context. And when I say context, you want to make sure that you tell it like what your target audience is or what you're trying to accomplish or information around that, whether you're trying to create something as well. Then you also want to make sure you provide the type of thing that you want to do, and always add like an adjective, and never. And one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people put in there is help me to do this. You don't need to tell AI to help you to do anything because it throws the prompt off. And
Okay.
it does that because when you're actually putting the prompt in, it sparses it up in like short tokens. So
Mhm.
it might not even divide up the full word. And all of those sparse are basically token points that are being used to develop a prediction of an output for you. So just making sure you tell it like the type of thing that you want, whether you want a list, you want a graphic, any format that you want to make sure you tell it that format, and also tell it what not to include or what to include in your output.
I got you on that. So like, wow. So like, are there like certain like phrases or keywords that would like for instance, you said help me, right?
Mhm.
Like help me to do with this. Are there certain like phrases or keywords that will like kill your prompt and like just straight like throw throw what you want to do completely left field?
So I definitely know the help me to create. It messes up prompts sometimes. And then what I have noticed is that if you give like scarcity with AI and says that make it like it's life or death or something like that, and you
Yeah.
put that in the prompt, it actually gives you better prompts.
Oh
Um,
man.
which I thought was crazy. And because I went to a training, and from that training, the lady was like, she said, I need this done or else I will lose my job. And she compared the two prompts in incognito, and the one with I will lose my job gave better output than the one without.
No, I get that because like I said, I'm an avid ChatGPT user, so I was using on one of my chats. I was constantly using it, kind of like for a repetitive action, right?
Mhm.
So I was noticing that every time that I would put a new input, it would give me a more lazier and lazier answer. So now I went to like the prompt builder and I was like, hey, listen, I need a prompt that I could put at the end of all my joints, so that way it gives me like the most maximum effort. And then it gave me like a maximum effort prompt, and I was like, oh, cool, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, cool. So like now, like when I'm using specifically that chat, I put that prompt behind like all my other things.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to do that. And I think it also depends on what platform you're on when you're doing repetitive tasks. Because
True.
like if, for example, if I use Claude and I have a project that's set up on Claude where I take a bio and I tell it to basically make me a list of key points for podcast guests,
Yeah.
and all I have to do is tell it use this bio to create my key points. And because I've been doing it, Claude has memory. It automatically gives me the same thing and the same layout for that
Mhm.
project. So it also depends on the platform.
Okay, I got you on that. Like I don't mind like the same layout of it, but I do. But the one thing I've noticed is that after a while, like after a while using the same or at least the same chat window, it'll get like information jumbled up. So you have to like kind of like straighten it out sometimes. Like at least with chat, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah, and so ChatGPT is a little different. They're always updating a lot of stuff, and when they start updating stuff, the AI chats kind of get iffy.
Yeah.
At one point, I remember someone was like, "Oh, the chat was being too nice, or giving two answers that were too nice." So they went in and they did some altering to try to make it where it's not just giving you what you want to hear. And when they did that, it threw off a lot of stuff, and then they had to go back and do another update. So it's just honestly with ChatGPT, it just depends on where they are in their update process.
I got you on that. So, all right. So when you're scaling a business, right, and
Mhm.
you're trying to use like AI to like kind of like get the all right, how? Let me put myself an example, right?
Okay.
Let's I'm running the podcast, I'm DJing, I'm producing, so I'm creating a lot throughout my day.
Mhm.
Like, how would I get like certain agents to like or like how would I know what agents to get so that way they could like not create the content for, my content for me, but take the content I've already created and like place it properly for me, or like know when to schedule it, or like like basically take all my content and push it and market it for me. Like what
So,
agents would I use? Like
so
what?
you're talking about scheduling it out?
Yeah, like scheduling it out, like and properly like marketing it for me and stuff
Okay.
like that.
So, and I'm an avid fan of ClickUp.
Okay.
So my very first thing is if I have someone come into my podcast show, they'll fill out a ClickUp form, and then
Okay.
I'll have automations in my ClickUp, and the automation will review that ClickUp form to see
Hmm.
if that person is a good candidate for the show.
Okay.
And then it will change the status of that person's application. So that will be my first step. So once that status is changed, then the second automation is triggered, and that automation would basically scans that person bio that they uploaded in the application, and it will give me possible questions or talking points, and it will also create the podcast introduction or YouTube description that will go along with that podcast. And
Okay.
from there, it will then send a notification to someone on my team to say, hey, take this person's picture and add it to the template for promotion. And then once that template is added for promotion, then once I have it in my CRM system will use AI to automatically schedule it out at a certain time.
Oh, that's so dope. That is so dope. I
So
didn't even know. I
that's
didn't
the
even know that existed. Okay, I'm getting
but
put on right now.
So that would be how I would do it. Even with in my CRM system, it has something where you can take AI and say, "Hey, I want to create a piece of content around this subject," and it'll create the caption for that piece of content. And then after that, I can tell it, "Hey, I want to create an image to go with this piece of content," and then I can select which image I want to go with that piece of content, and then I can tell it schedule it on these platforms at this time, and then it will go ahead and schedule it on those platforms.
Oh, that's so. That
So it
is
just
so
depends on
dope.
what you're using and the platforms you're using.
Okay, okay. I like we know about Claude. Is there any other like we know about Claude and OpenAI, of course. Is there like any other AI platforms that are you would consider essential for like small businesses to like kind of like ramp up and scale up?
So if you're doing audio and just audio kind of content, I would say Descript and 11 Labs are great. If you're doing video where you're trying to clone yourself, I say HeyGen. HeyGen has the best video cloning platform out there. And then if you're doing images, Midjourney kind of has a learning curve,
Yeah.
but Nana Banana with through Google is actually pretty decent. And then if you want to create like short clip videos, you have Hydra, which is also a great platform.
Okay. Okay.
And then if you want to kind of play around with different platforms to see what kind of output they have, there's this platform called Poe that has like over 1,000 different AI platforms, and you can just click on one and they give you a certain amount of free credits. But I will say that if it's something that is like need to be copywritten or intellectual property, don't put it on that platform because you
Yeah.
can't adjust privacy settings.
Okay. Okay. And we were touching base a little bit on privacy settings earlier.
Mhm.
How important is it to make sure that the platform that you use has like a decent privacy setting for your content and for like your business?
It's 100% important because
Yeah.
there's a company that their employees, one, you want to have an internal and external AI policy for your company,
Yeah.
and it's a policy that you're going to follow or your VAs are going to follow, as well as a policy where if someone comes to your website, they know that you're using AI, so that if something happens, you're not liable for it. But two, there's a company who had an employee that uploaded a lot of crucial data
Yeah.
um, to the chat, and then all of that code and stuff was free access. So you have to
Mm,
definitely be careful with it. There's even a lawyer who actually used AI and for a brief, and AI hallucinated and created a story or created a law case that wasn't real, and he presented it in court and lost his license. So you have to verify certain stuff too, and
yeah.
that's why it's very essential, and it's so easy to make sure you check it. All you have to do is go to the settings and then turn off that you don't want it to be training off of your information.
Okay, okay. That's super dope. So like, hmm. So can you like walk us through like your process of like helping an entrepreneur kind of like automate their business?
So the very first thing that I do is I have a form, and I have them to answer questions about what they're currently doing in their business. Whether whether it's social media scheduling, how they're sending out emails, um, and they do that form. Once they do that form, then I ask them or review what kind of goals they're trying to currently accomplish, because sometimes people don't need AI, they just need a new structure.
True.
And from there, that's when we select a tool that's going to be beneficial from you. I don't tell people to jump out and start using AI tools until they actually audit their business to see if they really do need a AI tool. And some people have businesses that are based off of relationships. So if you have a business that's more relationship based, I don't encourage doing a lot of AI usage unless it's around the emails and things like that, and like social media scheduling,
Yeah.
because when you're building relationship, AI is has no emotional intellect. So you're lacking that emotion, and that's not going to help you to really build a relationship for your business. So that's why I always do the audit first to see where they are in their business.
Okay, cool. And and like out of 10, right? Like 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. When you actually do your audit of that person's business, or that person audited their business, how much of a percentage do you say, okay, cool, we could move forward with implementing these AI services for you, versus nah, you just needed to restructure X, Y, and Z?
I would say probably 50-50, because
Okay.
a lot of times I get business owners who are not consistent because they're so focused on busy work that they're not focused on the business side of things.
Okay.
So that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed with a lot of business owners. They're not consistent in a lot of their processes. So when you're doing the audit, you can see a lot of bottlenecks that they have in their company. And the whole goal is after that audit is to help them fix those bottlenecks before they add AI to it. Because adding AI to a bottleneck is just gonna create even more chaos.
I got you on that. And like when it comes down to it, like, excuse me, damn, I forgot the question. All right. So when it comes down to it, like when you see that it's more of a bottleneck situation, or is a structural situation, right?
Mhm.
When you take care of that, is there still like room for you to put an AI automation, so that way the busy work gets done by that, and the business owner, or like the business owner and his or her employees could like get back to actually like pushing the business forward?
Yes, so I definitely look at like the busy work. If they're focused so a lot on the busy work, and they're not being consistent. First, I identify the bottlenecks, and then we say this is what can be resolved right now by doing X, Y, and Z. And then this is what needs to be worked on within the next 30 days, the next 60 days, and the next 90 days, so that you don't have any problems.
I got you. um do you think people who don't learn AI will like get left behind?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Because a lot of people, if you don't know how to prompt AI properly, they're
Yeah.
going to they're going to be left behind.
I got you on that.
Because a
And
lot of people are hiring, companies are hiring people who have backgrounds in AI right now, and they're hiring people or asking people questions about what they know about AI in interviews.
I got you on that. And what's something that most people don't know about AI?
Um, I think honestly that a lot of people don't know that AI breaks down everything um piece by piece and give you a
Mhm.
prediction. And a lot of people don't realize that sometimes AI can give you a hallucination that can seem so real that's not. So that's why even if I ask it for output, one, I ask for a confidence level of the output. How confident are you in what you're providing me? But then I also ask it to provide me the source or references of where it got is pulling information from. So verifying your information when AI is developing something for you, you need to do that, because some people think that once you get that result, everything from that result is 100% factual, and
I
that's
got
not
you.
the case.
I got you. And I know we've mentioned hallucinations a lot. Of course, I know what that is, but can you kind of like let the roomies know what an AI hallucination is, just so that way they're clear on that?
Okay, so what happens with AI hallucination is basically AI will develop a story that seems so realistic and believable that you will think that it's real, and is basically giving you an answer that you want to hear versus actually verifying the information. And depending on what type of plan you are for AI, what typically happens is if you're on a free plan of AI, it only can pull back information so far up to date, whereas a
Mhm.
paid version of AI can pull like the most recent information from the web and things like that. But if I'm not mistaken, most of the free platforms, they stop at about 5 to 10 years back, and a
Mhm.
lot of the information is not current and up to date when you're on a free platform.
I got you on that. I got you on that. So and the next question is just to feed like my curiosity on this one, and this is mostly like for me. So like, all right, I'm more of in the creative space. I'm more in the creative business space, right?
Mhm.
And one of my biggest issues is marketing, because
Okay.
since the fact that I'm always creating, I'm always editing, I'm doing the podcast, I'm DJing, I'm producing music, you know, what agents could I use to like just give it my content, say, hey, organize all this content and just put it out to, like, let's say my Instagram, my TikTok, for maximum growth, or like maximum eyes or clicks.
So first it depends on your system of how you get your content,
Yeah.
and how you're batching your content.
Okay.
Another thing is that for getting it scheduled out, you can use NA8, where it's scheduling everything out. You can upload everything in an Excel spreadsheet and have it to actually go out that way.
Okay.
There are platforms that are already created that kind of do a lot of that content for you, like Blotto is one, but it all depends on your process. So, for example, if once you record your podcast, you're on either Riverside, StreamYard, or whatever platform you're recording on, you are able to, those platforms already have AI built in.
Yeah.
So it will add the subtitles to you, it will chop it up in some clips for you so that you can schedule that content out. Now,
Okay.
after you go through that process, is more so of using a platform to really just schedule that piece of content out once you download it. Because with those platforms, you have to download it. It doesn't automatically get scheduled out.
Yeah.
So you will have to download it into either a folder or somewhere where you can get AI to start the process.
I got you. I got you. Okay. Cool.
And then once you go from there, you'll basically keep going. So even if you're using Canva to make something Canva can schedule the content out for you if you need Canva to do that. You can use your CRM to schedule the content out for you and have that automated if you have a CRM. So it just depends on where you are and what platforms you're using for your marketing. I would honestly take like the transcript. Another one, you can take the transcript from your podcast and then you can upload it into AI and tell AI to create me a blog post or create some quotes from this transcript that can be published, and just paste that content to Canva. And you can even put those quotes in an Excel, upload it to Canva, and Canva will create a piece of content from all of those quotes from you. And because they do batch content, and it'll get it scheduled out for you as well.
Well, that's so dope. I did not know that. That's very well. I'm gonna look into that. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that one. But when it comes to like people who are more in the creative like spaces, right?
Hmm.
Um, when it comes to like their businesses, because I know like a lot of people who do business and the creative side kind of like struggle with like the administrative work and like doing everything else that's not the creative side of it. How would what's like an easy process for them to like get into like automation and AI and all that stuff?
I would actually get a project management system that already have AI built in, because
Okay.
that's going to make it easier for you when you're not an admin person. Because a lot of those project management systems, they already have like built-in automations that can be preset for you and send you notifications of when you need to get something done. It will have access to your calendar. It can send out emails for you. So it just depends on how you're managing it. So for a person who isn't around admin, I would just highly recommend some type of project management software,
All right.
and that it'll keep them on task.
All right. Now, when it comes to money and scaling, right?
Hmm.
How can AI actually help somebody make money? Like we know that it could like optimize your time and you could utilize your talents for other things, especially when it comes to busy work. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, how can AI make you money?
So the very first thing I would do is, if you have like your services and what you do and or what type of content you create, I would upload that in AI and ask AI, with based on this information that you know about me, are there any gaps in this information that I'm overlooking that can increase my income? Or how can I increase my income with what I'm currently doing? And it will provide you with a lot of different recommendations and ideas.
I got you on that. And like you know, eh, when it comes to like any business, right?
Mhm.
What would be the like? Give me like two or three AI platforms that you could recommend to any business that will help them like utilize their time or like optimize their work.
Um, I would definitely say Claude. I would definitely say ClickUp. And then if you are into like putting out valuable content and information, I would have to say HeyGen or Descript.
Okay. And why is that?
So with HeyGen, you can upload whatever you want to say to your video clone, and then it'll automatically clone you in a video, and you can just go ahead, download and schedule it, and you're creating a lot of valuable content.
Mhm.
With Descript, you can take transcripts of things that you've worked on to help you create content or change content into blog posts or edit audio. There are so many different things you can do with Descript.
Okay. And you've mentioned Claude a lot, and I've personally been wanting to check Claude out. What's the value of Claude, like, or like what's great about it compared to like Gemini or ChatGPT and bigger these other big AI companies.
So with Claude has a lot of different aspects of it. So
Hmm.
you have your Claude code. But when you're going into Claude, what I like is if I do multiple chats, I can select certain chats and group all of those chats in a project, and then it will scan all of those chats for as memory to
Yeah.
actually give me a great output. Another thing I like is with Claude. Claude it does images as well. It does coding. Um, you can also do skills where you're telling it certain skills that you want to accomplish, and it will kind of develop things around that skill set. So say I want it to be create marketing content, and I only want this chat to focus on marketing content. You can have that chat to do a marketing skill, and everything that comes will be related to marketing.
Okay.
So that's another thing. So it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish with Claude. I also like the fact that for all of the newbies, Claude released their little educational platform where they're training you to understand Claude and how to get the best results from Claude.
That's dope. That's dope. So not only are you getting an AI tool, but they're essentially training you how to use it properly and get the most
Mhm.
out of it. So that's dope. I'll admit that's super dope because like you could get the platform and you could be lost for days. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Especially if you're not a person that's like into AI or into coding or like know how to properly prompt things. That's super beneficial.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things that I really loved about it. And then your documents are saved as artifacts. So there's
Yeah.
an area that you can go and pull all your documents in
Oh, that's
Claude
fire.
versus trying to go through all of the chats to find it. For example, like Microsoft Cowork, at one
Yeah.
point you would have to literally stroll through the chat to find a document that was created, but they've recently updated where you don't have to do that. But I like the fact that Claude has been doing that for a while.
That's so dope. So, where do you see business going in the next 5 years?
Business, or where do I see AI going?
Businesses with AI or both. Let's say a business with AI and a business without. What do you predict like the next 5 years is going to look like?
So I honestly think that it's two sides to things. Those who really integrate it very early on are going to be ahead of the curve. And then
Yeah.
those who don't integrate it are going to be left behind. And
Okay.
the reason I say that is because AI is not even at its peak yet. There are so many different things around AI that's being used. They have AI nanobots that can go in your blood and fix stuff. They have so many different types of things that are around AI from the medical field, from business, from anywhere. So I feel that if you're not trying to actually doing it, you're going to be left behind. And those who try to wait at the last minute to do it, there's going to be a learning curve
I
because
guess why not?
they didn't shift with the curve. So that's going to be one of the biggest things that they actually run into. And then one another thing I think that is going to happen around that is businesses who know how to blend AI and relationship are going to be the most successful businesses.
Mm, I got you. So you probably do you. Hmm. So what do you think will separate the winners from everyone else?
Those who know how to build a relationship and use AI at the same time, because at the end of the day, business is all about relationships.
Yeah.
So if I know how to keep my systems better, where I'm reducing time or saving time, but I can still build a relationship with you, I'm going to come out on top every time.
I got you. I got
But if I'm focused more so on reducing time and not the relationship of things, I can basically lose that relationship out if I don't know how to maintain it. People are going
you.
to go towards the businesses who know how to maintain a relationship versus the businesses who don't know how to retain the relationship and keep it on time. And I can give
No,
you a prime example.
go
So
on.
um this year we had a plumbing issue at our house,
Yeah.
and I called the plumber, and they had AI set up on their calls. So the AI agent was like, okay, we submitted your plumbing ticket, and we're going to get a plumber out to you very soon. And lo and behold, 1 o'clock in the morning comes, no plumber.
Yeah.
So for me, that business already lost my service. I went to the company that I was able to call, get someone on the phone, and get someone out.
Of course. And that makes perfect sense because there's certain, like, AI is great. Don't get me wrong. And I use it, and I think the majority of like millennials my age and, the younger generations use that as well. But there's certain aspects that, we still want a human at, when we're making
Mhm.
appointments, our therapist, things that require a human touch. Do you
Right.
think that AI is ever going to get there where it's going to like kind of like be able to understand human emotion and kind of like relate at kind of like connect how we connect?
I don't think AI is at that point right now. Not
Yeah,
right now. I think that there's a possibility that it could come, but for the emotional side of things, right now it's all about prediction. So there's no level of emotion in prediction.
I got you. I got you on that. All right. With that being said, and just to close everything out, and this is a question that I ask all my guests: do you have any final thoughts, words of wisdoms, or advice for the roomies?
I would say if you want to use AI for your business, audit your business first before using AI. If you're already using AI for your business, audit how effective the AI is actually for your business to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table. Because a lot of people don't realize that they are leaving money on the table because they have AI integrated the wrong way.
Yeah,
So with that, also remember that AI is not here to replace anyone, but it's here to enhance you and to make sure you're always thinking critically while using it.
I got you. And roomies, remember, AI is an amazing tool. It could, help you scale your business. It could help you, learn things that otherwise might take you months or years to actually grasp. It could break it down in moments. But yet again, learn how to audit your AI, make sure you double check it, and make sure that you're using it properly because if you're not using your systems properly, you might not be understanding your capabilities fully. And with that being said, peace out.